Hey everybody, Ben here for the Bonehead podcast, and I thought we'd spend some time today and have a look at the Khorne Touchline tactics. Now, Khorne have just landed in Blood Bowl 3, I think last week, so hopefully you're all getting to grips with running those little Frenzy boys and having a load of fun rolling loads of skulls, because that's just how Frenzy games work. So, Khorne are a fantastic new addition to this version of Blood Bowl, right? They dropped, a couple of years ago. They've gone down an absolute treat. BT loves them. We've had them on the channel absolutely loads because they are a fantastic team to play. So the fact they're here now in Blood Bowl 3 is absolutely wicked. But Games Workshop dropped a Touchline Tactics article for them back in January, and I thought it was about time and appropriate that we had a look at it and kind of gave it our judgment. And by judgment, I mean we talk it through and see what's good and what's not good, because they write these articles and it feels like sometimes they write them and then release them a little bit later on. Okay, so Khorne. In this installment, we're reveling in the glorious bloodshed of Blood Bowl as we invite the Khorne teams to the dugout. Their primary modus operandi is frenzied bludgeoning, yeah, that's true, with scoring touchdowns being a quaternary concern. After all, a bloody and violent spectacle will please the blood god far more than the passing game. I don't know. I'm a big fan of passing game, but then I am not Khorne, so I am not the skull god. Play style. Khorne teams are a quintessential bash team, with much of their gameplay revolving around hitting the enemy as much as possible until the opponent has too few players to stop them from scoring. The abundance of frenzy makes for more opportunities for blocks and therefore more opportunities to cause casualties. However, frenzy is a double-edged sword. Having to follow up every push and block again if the push player is still standing can result in unfavourable situations without foreplanning. Actually, scoring a touchdown is not easy for Khorne, as their lower passing and agility can make moving the ball down the gridiron a slog. It's generally better to focus on causing enough casualties to be able to saunter the ball in later rather than trying to score early on. So yeah, that's not wrong. Khorne, like the pieces of the Khorne team, you've got the linemen with frenzy, you've got the strength 4 chaos warriors with frenzy, you've got the blood spawn with frenzy, and then you've got the Khorne Gores who do not have frenzy. So this team is basically a blend of chaos. Actually, you know what, it's more of a, it's taken the framework of the Nurgle team and it's applied them to the old Chaos Demons team, right? It's an absolute frenzy mosh pit most of the time, which is brilliant, and everything they've called out there is exactly accurate. Like, Khorne is a challenging team to win games of Blood Bowl for, but it's a really fun one because those strength 4 frenzy pieces, they don't need a lot of assistance, and it's got a really good defense, because if you can get one good shot on a ball carrier with the Khorne team, it's frenzy, so you're going to get 2 shots at the ball carrier, which actually I think is really useful. You're going to be able to use that frenzy to punch open holes within which you can then blitz with one of your strength 4 players or just a supported strength 3 player. They can play some pretty good defense. They're not wrong. Offense can be a bit challenging, but that's why you've got to run Khorne Gores. Generally speaking, it's really tough. Like, you want as many Khorne Gores as you can have, because the more blocks you can take without frenzy, the kind of more consistent your team's going to be. That's a kind of a top level estimate of it. Right, Bloodborne Marauders. So this is the roster, the pieces of the team. So the Bloodborne Marauders are the backbone of every Khorne team. They are cheap and therefore easily replaced should they suffer a glorious death in the name of the Blood God. They come with frenzy and an armor value of 8+, so there is a decent chance they'll end up in fights they can't win unless you work very hard to back them up. Luckily, they're plentiful and Khorne cares not from where the blood flows. Yeah, having a frenzy player with armor 8+ with no block, it definitely sets them up for failure. But they are, I mean, it doesn't really cover them. They're movement 6, they're edge 3+, they're strength 3+, their armor's a little on the weak side, and yes, they do have frenzy, but they are very, very functional linemen. They are hobgoblins, they are thralls. They just also happen to have frenzy and some pretty good skill access. So actually the Marauders are a really excellent piece. They are going to frenzy trap themselves sometimes, so you have to pepper them in. You have to choose your blocks wisely. I think the key to Khorne is kind of knowing when not to block, which is amusing. Right, Khorne Gores are the lifeline for touchdowns. Horns and Juggernaut can make them excellent blitzers, and Edge 3+ mean they can serve as the team's ball carriers. Yeah, I mean, Edge 3+ on the lineman, very serviceable. The Jug boys there, the the Khorne Gores having no frenzy makes them the ideal ball carrier. It means that they've got horns and juggernaut, means that when they're blitzing, they're going to get strength 4, which is normally going to give you a 2-die block where you can turn both downs into pushes. So the idea with the Khorne Gore is you need to use them to blitz if you want them to break 3. Edge 3 plus is alright, but being able to make a potentially 2-die block and just fishing for pushes to break yourself free, it works really well. And normally with Khorne, if you're in that kind of position, you can use that blitz to then push and hand off whoever's marking a ball carrier into base contact with another one of your players and potentially set them up for another 2-4 die frenzy block that's just free. Yeah, that's bang on the money as well. Oh dear. Oh, I've lost my spot. Here we go. The best fighters on the Khorne team are the Bloodseekers. Their strength of 4 alleviates the dangers of frenzy somewhat, and their armor of 10 plus keeps them around for longer. Bloodseekers are natural corners for a cage and a hammer to smash through a solid defense. Do you know what? We're going to go straight to the bomb here. A cage is a type of defensive formation around the ball carrier, the most simple involving a player in each diagonal. Okay, I thought they were like giving themselves a caveat there. Because, okay, what they've talked through, strength 4. These are basically frenzied Chaos Warriors with that are edge busted. So edge 4 plus is all right. I mean, most Chaos Warriors feel like they should have edge 4 plus anyway, because most other strength 4 blockers, until Amazons came along, you know, the Ulf Mariner is you know, the Bull Centaur. These guys are all strength 4, edge 4 plus. The fact that these guys fit in that category, it makes sense. The fact that they're making frenzy blocks with strength 4 is really, really, really good. And their armor 10 plus means that if you skull yourself out, or in this case, both down yourself, actually that armor 10 plus means you're probably going to get back up again and it's going to be all right. So it's really funny because when you're playing with like dwarves or chaos dwarves and you've got the block players on the line, a 1-die block feels free. In Khorne, the 2-die block still doesn't feel free except with these guys because armor 10 plus is going to keep them around. Using them as side of a cage is interesting. Now, they are fantastic on defense. We saw this in Sevens when Trips was running them. You know, those strength 4 Bloodseekers covering the edges of a cage are really a really tough nut to crack. And if you base them, so if you're playing with like an edge team and you want to just kind of base the sides of the cage to kind of like bait your opponent, on the one hand, like that's gonna give free blocks all day long. On the other hand, it's gonna force frenzy blocks all day long because these guys are edge 4 plus, they're not going anywhere. So putting somebody like a zombie against the corner of a cage with a Bloodseeker is going to get a 2-die block, absolutely, but he's going to potentially have to frenzy himself out, and it's going to cause that cage to become a bit looser potentially. So it's a good one. It's a good one. Bloodspawn. So this is the big guy for this team. Bloodspawn take everything Khorne and ramp it up to 8, which is the number of Khorne. Claws make a mockery of heavy armor, and Mighty Blow +1 makes KOs and casualties more common. They're far less reliable when it comes to non-violent tasks, however, so focus them on hitting players. So the Bloodspawn wants to be blitzing, it wants to be blocking, it doesn't really want to be doing anything else, but man, it does those things very well. Sometimes it feels like you want them to have horns, but they've got pretty good access to mutations, so you can kind of build your own Minotaur. Claws and Mighty Blow don't combo the way they used to, potentially for the better, actually, in that circumstance, but they are still a very potent combination. The fact you've got Claws and Mighty Blow gives you the benefit against all targets. So if you're playing against Skaven, Wood Elves, Mighty Blow is going to really just make sure that that player's stunned. And to be fair, their armor's low enough that you're going to roll okay. Claws is going to be really useful. You can't add Mighty Blow to Claws, but once you use Claws to roll that 8+ to break the armor on a target, you're going to be able to chuck that Mighty Blow on the injury roll. So Bloodspawns are scary, but they can frenzy trap themselves. They've got loner. They can get themselves in a bit of a pickle. They are a very unreliable big guy. When they work, oh boy howdy they work, which is very, very, very cool. Okay, skilling up. So, Bloodborne Marauders. The first skill pick should nearly always be block or wrestle. Look, block is just best on this team. Everywhere. It's a shame, but block is very much the best skill in Blood Bowl. Wrestle is quite interesting. On a Marauder, yeah, I mean, Wrestle's going to be beneficial in some cases, and the fact you've got Frenzy is going to mean you're going to get an extra chance to pull that person down, so Wrestle is a really useful skill if you're going after ball carriers. But block is just best for Khorne. You know, it's great on defense, and every time you got a block frenzy piece left standing is another potential couple of easy blocks you can make, a couple of free blocks you can make, and that's so useful. If a player gets a second skill, then tackle or kick are good choices, though only one player needs the latter. Right. if you get to pick a skill, it's going to be really hard never to pick anything other than block. But I do like random generals on these players. Like block's useful, wrestle's useful, tackle's useful. Like all those skills are useful for them actually just being in combat, right? Sure hands, it's not what you want. You want sure hands on your Khorne dog, but actually rolling a random sure hands to give yourself a backup ball carrier is actually not bad. They're not long for this world. Saving up for block is the best way to do it, but sometimes you just got to take that random. All right, Khorne dogs, here we go. At least one Khorne Gore should be built as a ball carrier, so block is always a good first choice. Dodge is a decent second skill, or 2 heads for cheaper but lesser option. To make them harder to knock down, from there you may want sure hands, extra arms, or even big hand to help pick up the ball in the first place. Another option is making a dedicated blitzer with tackle, strip ball, and 2 heads. Right, interesting one there. At movement 6 are the fastest player on the team. They've got no frenzy, so you're not going to get yourself in a problem. Using them as a safety is definitely a viable option. And with horns, they're going to be blitzing at strength 4. So being like brewing them up to be your safety is not awful. But when you've got 4 movement 5, strength 4 frenzy pieces in the Bloodseekers, you got linebackers. Okay, you don't have a safety, but you've got linebackers. Now, when it comes to Khorne dogs, yeah, block is almost always the best skill. They're going to be kind of the blitzers. They're going to be the ball carriers, runners. They're runners basically. So having a bit of block is great for them. Sure hands is great for them. Like, it depends on how long your league is. If you're running a short league, then getting one of them sure hands is going to be good early on. And then taking block on the rest of them is totally fine. And then eventually giving that sure hands piece block as well to make him good to go. And the reason I say sure hands early is this team very much needs rerolls, right? You're going to be making a lot of blocks. Generally speaking, they're going to be profitable blocks, but nobody on this team starts with the block skill. So having 1 or 2 rerolls to start off with your roster is going to mean that you are going to get yourself... You're throwing a lot of blocks, and your rerolls either last forever or they last for never. Okay, once your rerolls are gone, you are pickled, and not being able to pick up the ball is going to absolutely hamstring you when you're trying to win the game. So Khorne Gores are one of the most flexible players in the game, but I mean, block is really useful on them because they've got no negative trait when it comes to frenzy, and block is just useful in offense and defense. Bloodseekers, these are some of my favorite players in the game. These guys are wicked. So as with other players, block is a good first choice, but Bloodseekers, though guard, offers an excellent supportive alternative. Mighty blow and claws will result in more casualties, which in turn means more SPP. I mean, everything there is right. Strength forward, block and frenzy. Hello. When you look at brewing up a blocker, you've got that combination of block versus mighty blow versus guard and how you brew up your teams. Bloodseekers love, like, the best opportunity is for them to work together. It's just not how frenzy works most of the time. Guard's going to keep your other blockers making good blocks, but block is best first. Like, and how you want to take it and then brew up some extra guard and brew up some mighty blow, it depends kind of on what league you're playing against. If you're playing a neutral league, so an open league, where you don't know what you're playing against, block, guard are going to be better in the long term than actually taking mighty blow and claws. Removal's fantastic, but consistently putting your opponent down is going to benefit you more in the long run. Bloodspawn, guard or brawler are contenders for useful first skills, with one giving the Bloodspawn greater utility and the other making a bad roll less likely to hurt. Again, if you're using your spawn as blitz, to blitz with a lot, because to activate his ability, then Jugs is also going to be really useful. Brawl is going to be great if he is on the line, surrounded by players, and he's just fighting all day long. Guard is going to be useful too, but when it comes to the spawn, like, you want to give him block. If you can't give him block, Brawler is okay. I like the Brawler skill. I don't know if I like it as much on the Bloodspawn, because I want him to be a heavy hitter. The fact he's got Strength 5 and Frenzy and Mighty Blow, you know, if you take Brawler and it's a skill you just can't use again, it's a bit rubbish. So top 5 star players here for the Khorne team. You've got... Yeah, fair enough. You've got Hackflem, you've got Grashnak, you've got Glart, you've got Acorn, you've got Max Spleen Ripper. So of these, which are going to come up useful the most? As your team develops, if you've got a bit of guard, then actually taking Acorn is going to be really cool, because you've already got integral guard in there, which means your little strength 1 frenzy lunatic is going to be even stronger and make some better blocks. Max Spleen Ripper is going to be able to make the most of the fact that you're going to be dropping your opponent's players to the ground, so he's going to be able to come along and just chop up the bits and pieces. what makes this team interesting is that even though your Marauders are made of wishes, like your team, the expensive stuff, it doesn't often die. So your team value is not often going to be low. And so when you come into a matchup where your Khorne team is down a significant amount of money, it's either because you're playing against a significantly tougher team or a significantly more seasoned edge team. And that is going to massively change up what you want to take. Like Spleen Ripper and Acorn can get you a pair of interesting and murderous stars for a really low cost. That's never really bad. Grashnak, I love him, but you know, Grashnak, Hthark, all the big hitters, Scylla, like they are really great if your big guy is down. If you've already got a big guy, you don't need a second big guy. You don't really need a second liability. You know, Gar, again, you've got plenty of strength for hitters. And obviously Hack Phlegm is just like a great scoring thing. So Hack Phlegm, if you're you know, in a situation where you need to score lots of touchdowns and you're not worried about your team's development for league, then yeah, Hack Phlegm is going to be great. But I do like the Acorn combos well with your team. Max Spleen Ripper just then puts that fear of just death in your opponent's league team. Absolutely love it. Right, so that is the Khorne Touchline Tactics. Now, Khorne is being spammed a lot on Blood Bowl 3 at the moment, as it should be. So it's a really cool place to join up. Khorne is a really interesting team. It's a really great way of playing. It's very different than any other team. There's some similarities there with Norse, as you can build a heavy frenzy roster, but this team just gets itself into trouble, and the only way out is by rolling pals. So it's a cool one. It's like goblins with armor. I love it. Anyway, let me know what you think, and we'll be back soon with more Blubber content. Happy blocking.